Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am very excited today. I have a interview with a fantastic singer-songwriter, guitarist, all of the wonderful things that you love about music, Mr. Bob Wagner. Bob, thank you for joining me, my friend. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Sam, thanks for having me. Cheers.
Bob has his debut solo record called Ive Been Down that was just released on June the 12th via Royal Potato Family Records. It's a great record. I've given it some spins since knowing that we were going to chat. And I encourage everybody, if you watch nothing else, go get the record. That's really what's important. So Bob deserves it. It's a great piece of work, and I really enjoyed it.
Thanks. I'm glad you're digging it, and thanks for the push. Yeah, that is what it comes down to. Go get the record.
That's
Thanks,
the
man.
best way to support your fellow artists and musicians that we love.
Buying tickets to shows early or picking up a record, and honestly, I don't think people can overstate how important it is to just share music with your circle of people, your friends and your family, when you find something that you like. I have a few people, friends and acquaintances in my life, and I look down at the phone and I see that they're sending me something. I'm just like, I know I should click on that, and I already know I'm going to like it because that person sent it to me.
That's a great thing, I think, about being in the music world is, obviously you're surrounded by people that you work with all the time, and you get those texts, you get those emails or random gifts in the mail, and you're thinking, well, it's from so and so, I know it's going to be good, or it's kind of like, oh, it's from that guy, I'll let that one sit on the back burner.
For sure, totally.
So tell me, I've Been Down, again, it's been out now at the time of recording for about a week and a half. Tell me, you've probably been asked this before, you're in your 40s, why put out the solo album now? I know you've done a lot of playing with a bunch of really cool people. So what is it about now that warrants a solo record?
It's funny the way you frame it, being in your 40s. I'm like, as soon as I hear that, I'm like, well, it's because there's nothing left to lose. Like what's left to lose? Like no, it just felt like why now? It just felt combination of a few things. I was always planning on recording a record and more, but I just kind of let things simmer for a while I was in more collaborative roles in other projects. For the past 10 years, been working with Wright, and we've been touring a lot at times during that, and so it wasn't the right time to do that, and I was just really enjoying the kind of collaborative situation that all is. And then this year, working with Mike is like, it's great because it's just such a fun project, but it's also like I can get ready for the tour and do the tour and then be done, and it's not a year round constant working on things type situation. So anyway, I just had a hole in my calendar where it was like, oh, it's time. It just kind of, when I looked at the calendar a few months out, I just saw a big finger pointing at this spot, and I was like, this is the hole you've been kind of looking for, because it takes a lot of time to do the stuff crowdfunding and lining up recording sessions and finishing songs. It's just it's takes a lot longer than you think it's gonna.
Sure.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Bob plays with like you mentioned Wright, but Mike is Mike Gordon of Phish with his group, and so kind of a cool thing to to kind of do, but again, to have this opportunity, like you said, to point at a calendar and say, this is when we need to do this project for me.
Yeah.
That's really cool that yourself in that way to say, I want to put this out, even with all the busyness that you have going on.
Yeah. I also think I was waiting for a certain amount of experience, cutting my teeth in other projects to a certain level before I would feel comfortable going into work on my own stuff. And I'm really glad I did that, because I could easily cringe thinking about making my first record like 10 years ago, and the way I would have approached that versus the way I got to approach this felt really good. It was a great a great experiment for me in just like kind of letting go throughout the whole process, instead of having to like fight my way to the finish line and then like let it go. It's just like a big, experiment in letting go throughout the whole process.
Well, it's interesting because, again, so much of what I know about Royal Potato Family is with the musicians. I mean, I've been able to talk with Jano Ricks, who's on your record, Seth Walker, really cool guys, very talented guys, and everything that I see that comes out of this label just has this, there's a looseness to it, but it's not a sloppiness. And your record is no exception. It's just got this great, almost a muddy kind of sound that I just love, and I know the listeners love as well. Tell me a little bit about kind of that process. Again, you're working with these guys, lots of really cool players on this record as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, I love that you kind of pointed at the sound, because for me, after after some really quick math and like a little bit of a nudge from Seth Walker to go, talk to the Studio Nashville, which is where Seth has made records. The Studio Nashville is studio in Nashville that is shared by the Wood Brothers, and where they make a lot of their records, and Oliver makes his solo stuff, and Jano probably makes his solo stuff there. It's run and co-owned by Brooke Sutton, the head engineer there, who's just like one of the greatest people to work with, just in every capacity. Anyway, Seth Walker was like, man, I really think you should meet Brooke and check out this studio. I'm like, well, I've already toured that studio before when I was in Nashville, and I got to be honest, like my ear is so drawn to every project I hear that is recorded in that studio with Brooke at the helm and Jano in the mix in whatever capacity, whether he's producing or just playing, one of a million instruments that he plays so well. It's just like there's a sound there, and I hear it and I just adore it. They're just making great records out of that place, I think. So and it's comfy. It's like a cozy, comfy spot. Those guys, like, they know how to keep the energy in the right place all day. So I highly encourage people to go on a deep dive about anything that comes out of that studio.
It did. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that. Historical studios that we learn about, Muscle Shoals, anything out of, Capitol Records in the 50s and 60s. These studios, Sun Records, there's a lot to be said about that, and there's a big reason why these producers, whether it's the old guys like Phil Spector or Brian Wilson, and now with Brooke Sutton, who, everything that I've heard, I've never talked to Brooke, just sounds like the coolest, like you were saying.
You should catch
about that.
He's a busy guy, but you should get on a call or talk to him about sound and whatnot. I mean, just what a beautiful dude, and just so talented. Huge ears, great ideas, great energy to work with. So yeah, I can't say enough about him. But like, you listen to these Wood Brothers records, you listen to Seth Walker records. Man, what is it? Hope I Know. That Seth Walker record.
Yep.
Some of it, I mean, some of the Wood Brothers stuff can be really big sounding. Seth Walker can have like 2 people on a track, and there can be so much space.
Yeah.
And it can just sound so. Can I curse on the podcast?
Go ahead. Yeah.
It sounds so fucking good. It's just like, wow. Anyway, I'm a sucker for that combination that I see there, and it's not like I'm some expert on a million studios or something. It's just when I hear something that I know is good, it's like, well, then there you go. And so I had a chance to go work there, and I was like, well, that's just the greatest. That's the greatest thing ever.
So coming out again of your regular touring duties of, working with whoever you're working with on a particular day, what kind of made you, or did something make you kind of move toward this particular style of music? Because again, people that think Phish, people that think Mike Gordon, there's obviously, a thought like, oh, it's, the jam band world, whatever you want to say. And Mike obviously has these funky grooves with his playing,
Yeah.
and you're playing in that. But then you listen to this, and I would say, you're praising Seth and the Wood Brothers. This record stands up with that too in terms of sound, production. It's right there with it. So don't just what moved you, I guess, to say, I kind of want to sit in this little pocket for a while with these tunes.
If I'm reading you, I'm trying to. Hopefully, I'm reading you right. But the reality is that some of these songs on this record are just really old, and they just hadn't been recorded yet, and it's a mixed bag. And then some of them are like, got finished the morning that they got recorded. So it's, and also this, not to go on too much of a tangent, but like I did the classic rookie thing for a debut record where it's like I recorded like 2 records worth of music, and was like, oh, I got to hear it all and then slim it down. And it's just like, hopefully I'll never do that again. Just because it just eats up a lot of time and brain cells and funds. But I'm happy. I guess I'm happy that I went through that process though. So hopefully I'm reading your question correctly. Maybe a good answer is to just say, I needed to kind of sit with all the things I had kicking around and then see what fit the best. And man, there's just like probably 3 to 5 songs that I cannot even believe are not on this record. I'm just like, how? Like songs that I thought like I would name the record after. And wow. I'm just like, oh, they're just not, they didn't even make it. They just, at the end of the day, they didn't fit for whatever reason in the right way. So I'm still trying to figure out what to do with those. I loosely have this idea that I'll just do like a C, like instead of a B-sides, like a C-sides release, maybe just like digital only. Cause I really do want to share all those tunes, and there's so much great playing on them. Yeah.
Well, with all that, and again, that you hear a lot of artists talk about this, where there's so many different tracks that are left over in the studio, 10 tracks on the record, but you have a cover of Daniel by Old John. So how did that sneak in to make the cut?
Totally. That was a happy accident. We were recording, and I forget what song we were recording, where Jano was on his shitar percussion rig, and we had a great sound, and I was sitting there on this rubber bridge guitar of Oliver's, which was great to get to borrow. And we had just a sound that was really feeling really good. And I was like, hey, while we have this sound going, I'd love to just end the tapes running. I'd love to quickly rip a version of Daniel. Not for the record, just because that song is actually like has a very special significance for my family. And I was just going to get like a quick recording, a quick bounce, and just be like, and send it just to them. And then after we got done with the take, I think we were all like, I remember like on the original recording, it was like, you hear all of us go like, hey, that was good. I was like, yeah, it really was. There was something to that. And eventually it just kind of became the thing where it's like, I kind of can't do without that now. And the significance of it is my uncle Dan, who passed away in the early 90s, was like my earliest musical, influence. He was a piano player, and he was just like, could play by ear, could play anything he heard on the first try. And he passed away in the AIDS epidemic of the 80s and 90s. He was a gay man living in New York City, and we played that song at his funeral, and that song has always been a big big thing in my family. So I was like, you know what, this would be something I feel like a few people at home would appreciate. So I kind of recorded it for the fam, and then it just ended up staying on the record.
No, a beautiful story. I appreciate you sharing that. It's always interesting, yeah, when you have those songs that a lot of people just listen to. They're on the radio. Daniel's a fairly well-known Elton John song, and it's like you have this second level to it of like, whoa, there's a lot there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you like it. Somebody sent me, there was like some Italian magazine reviewed the record, and they were like, great record, except for a rather forgettable cover of Elton John's Daniel. And I'm like, why did you have to say that? Well, whatever. It's in Italian. I can't even understand it.
That's right. It's in Italian.
But I'm kind of starting to, some friends have been sending me other people's covers of Daniel that I didn't know about. Like Will Oldham. Is that Bonnie Prince Billy? Yeah, so. I just checked out his version a few days ago. I was like, oh wow, I'm glad I hadn't heard this first because it's super intense.
Yeah. No, I love when an artist, takes the space on one of their records, especially for this one, kind of an important record. I mean, not that any record isn't important, but this is your first with your name, in the bold print. So, and to, yeah, I thought it was beautiful because you stay so true to it, but it is very stripped back, and I think it's beautiful. So,
thanks.
Forget that other review.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks. I'm glad you like it, and yeah, wasn't expecting to have any covers on the record at all, and I was like, well, yeah, one's fine. I always loved that on like Sturgill Simpson records, or at least on a number of them. There's like always like one cover, and it was like, oh, you didn't really see that coming. I always kind of enjoyed that as like a formula too. So that might have like played into the thinking of like, well, you can do like one cover, it's okay.
Well, you just kind of made a really nice little segue there. I know, I'll preface it with this. I know there's a lot of times, musicians, artists, don't want to sound like somebody else, or if somebody says, oh, you're the next whatever, like I know Bruce Springsteen, everybody was always like, he's the next Dylan, that kind of thing. Totally. But there is a Sturgill Simpson connection with your record, which obviously there's a lot of those elements flowing through it. Tell the listeners a little bit about the Sturgill connection to this record.
You mean Laur?
Yes.
So I was in the studio in Nashville on my last day, just me, and I was cleaning up a few things, like some vocal harmonies or whatever, and I think I was going to put a guitar solo or two somewhere. And Brooke, the engineer, me and him were having lunch, and he mentioned the session that was going to be coming into the studio for like the following week. I said, hey, what do you got coming up? And he starts telling me about this session. And, he's like, oh, all great players on it, and he's telling me some of the folks playing on it. And some of the names I knew, I was like, whoa, wow, like that drummer's coming in here, this person's coming in. And he said Laur's name. And I was like, whoa, I was like, that's really wild. I was like, man, he's one of my favorites, like, I think that Sturgill Simpson record, Meta Modern Sounds, is like one of the most, it's like, I would consider it like a perfect record. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't throw that around very loosely. Like, there's nothing on that record that I would ever want to change or skip, And a large part of that to me, besides the songs, obviously, is just Laur's contribution on guitar. It's just, you can't overlook it. And I was like, man, that's really funny. He's like one of two people that I know of in Nashville that I would love to call to play on these songs I'm about to go track some guitar solos on. And he's like, oh, do you want me to text him? I was like, what do you mean? Like, text him. And he's like, I could see if he's free. And I was like, I would be an idiot to stop you. So long story short, an hour or two later, Laur's walking his stuff through the door and was basically like, well, I'm going to be in here for the next week anyway. I'll just come drop my stuff off early. And sure, I'll get down on a tune or two. Got him on like 3 tunes somehow. And oh man, I just love his playing so much. And everything he did, I just really dug. And that was also a huge shift for me mentally, because I think of myself as like this guitar guy, or like that I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, wow, what would be great is if somebody else did this. it was just like so fun. It was like so fun to work with him and hear what he did. His solo on that song, Richest Man on Earth.
Yep.
To me, I'm just like, what? I played you this song in this weird key. And the first thing you do is that. Man, that's just really inspiring. Just what a player.
And you don't expect a solo because it's a fairly mid-tempo song for the most part, which
Yeah.
I love that tune. But like you said, it's like, oh, there's that now. There's that element to it.
Yeah, I just thought what he did was so timeless, and it was weird too, because I had like this old Silvertone guitar of mine.
Yeah.
And he looked at it and he was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's this funky old Silvertone, that I bought off Craigslist. It's like the kind, I forget the model, but it's the one that came with the case that has the amp built into the case from the 60s."
Yep.
And and he like picked it up and was he's like, "This is cool." Kind of like looking at it like, I've never seen this model guitar before. And he just like walked it into the room and like laid down that solo on the guitar on that guitar. And I was like, okay, all right, well that's nice.
Don't you love that as a guitar player though? I mean, the other guy, like somebody else walks in, you're feeling pretty good, and then somebody else walks in, and you're like, let me just put this back on the stand for a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's the best feeling ever. Like, I got a gig I'm gonna play tonight, and my buddy Mike Miz is up from Nashville, but I'll probably just put the guitar down and let him play, and I'll probably just sit there and sing for a little bit.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit, because I know we're in this weird time with just everything, and you have a song called "Good Night and Good Luck," which is political in nature, and it has this like ripping, like, old school country kind of vibe to it. But I know, right now there are tensions everywhere with politics and what's going on in the country here in the U.S. Tell me a little bit about "Good Night and Good Luck," and how that came about.
Sure. It's a dark humor satire of sorts of a song. Maybe satire is not the right word, but what's the best way to put this? I like that people can probably pick my politics out on the sidewalk if they see me walking down the street, a freaking tie-dye shirt and a long braid,
I don't know
it's
what
probably
you're talking about.
probably not too many, like, you probably don't have to guess too hard to, guess my views on a few things. That song was written during George Floyd protests in 2020. I was up late at night watching protests around the federal building in Portland, Oregon. And I was watching some people's live streams. And I was like, at the time, I remember, and I'm sure you remember, and everyone will remember, how incredibly tense that summer felt for a million reasons. And I was really keeping an eye on the flex of, power from the federal government during those protests. And I was very, very concerned, to see an overreach of power from the feds to squash our legal rights to protest, and to make our voices heard. And so oddly, like, there's a few like lyrics in there that actually kind of place some things in Portland, Oregon, which is odd because I don't live there and I've only visited there and toured there a few times. I love it there, but it's like I don't live there. But I was up like kind of following things there, and that kind of inspired that tune. And at the same time, I was thinking that that old saying, "Good night, good luck," that Edward R. Murrow, the famous broadcast journalist, he would use that as his sign off every night. And yeah, it's just those things kind of got smashed together in my brain in a way that was like, you know, we're flirting with the edge here of where we have certain safeguards in place in a democracy, and when too many of them get peeled back, or people play too fast and loose with them, or they become forgotten, or when the wrong, you know, madman is in charge. There's only so much flirting with the edge you can do before the whole party's over. And I think that's kind of where I'm coming from in that song.
Yeah, I mean, it's timely. It's stuff that needs to be said. You have a voice. All of us have a voice in one way or the other, with whatever platform we have. And yeah, again, like you said, on the surface, the song comes off as this really ripping tune. Just as a tune, it's great. But then you look into it and you're like, oh, okay, this is what's going on, and this is kind of making it even cooler, even though it's got a dark backstory. You've done it in a way that it comes across very, very nicely, and I appreciate that it's on the record.
Thank you. The drummer on that, my buddy Corey Wilhelm, he plays with Bombino, who's like an international Touareg, you know, world guitar star. He always says, like, you know, if you ever make a music video for that, it's got to just be like the song that's playing during like an epic bar fight. And I'm just like, well, funny enough, it kind of is the soundtrack to the epic bar fight that we're all fucking living through. So like, that's kind of the idea.
If that video does get made, I want to see you as like the guy that gets the bottle like on the head, and like I need some Bob acting going on.
I think I would prefer to be the bartender in that video.
You could do that too. No, I'm here for the video whenever that comes out.
Sounds good.
Let me jump now. Not really off of that, but tell me, you have a really cool project that you're a part of called Hug Your Farmer, the concert series. You're from Vermont, and obviously there's a lot of activism in Vermont. And again, talking to your buddy Seth Walker, he's big in like the Asheville area with a lot of his causes. I know the Wood Brothers do a lot, especially with British Columbia, where Chris is. But tell me about Hug Your Farmer. Let the people know about that.
Sure. Thanks for asking. I love that you're asking that. Hug Your Farmer is a concert series in Vermont that I serve as band leader for and co-organizer. It's something that started 15 years ago when a large organic farm here, Pete's Greens, had a fire. Their barn burned down. They lost everything overnight, cold storage for the year, just everything. So we all got together at Higher Ground, had a giant concert, bunch of people on the bill. You know, some of the guys from Phish were on the bill. Sold it out. We raised a bunch of money for Pete's, helped them get back on their feet. In fact, we raised so much money at that show that there was overage for them, and Pete's Greens used it to start what is still to this day a very important emergency farm fund here in Vermont called the Vermont Farm Fund. And over the years, we would have just shows occasionally, but about 3 years ago, when we had some historic flooding here in Vermont, we decided it was time to have a benefit concert to raise money. And we made the decision to move the concert to the Flynn Theater, which is the largest capacity room we have here in Burlington. It's about 1,200 seats. And I'm trying to make this as short as possible. It's tough.
Do what you want.
But because of the so Vermontian expert approach to collaboration between a few entities, namely the Flynn, the Hug Your Farmer series, Select Design, who is the company that actually owns the trademark to Hug Your Farmer, and our friends at the Vermont Community Foundation, who are the stewards of the fund we are raising money for. we were able to find a donor match, an anonymous donor match, to match whatever we raised, dollar for dollar, up to $100,000.
Wow.
And so for that first year, 3 years ago, we raised over $200,000 with this show. And then the next year, on the same day of the year, July 10th, we had another historic flood. And then we had to have another show. And I think we raised closer to $250,000 with that show. And then last year, luckily, we didn't have a flood. What did we have? We had the biggest drought in over 100 years in Vermont. We had, at one point, we were under 7 different types of drought. So we had a very tricky year last year. We didn't have a donor match last year, and we raised something like $80,000 with our show. So in the past 3 years, we have raised over $500,000 or close to $500,000, something like that, I forget, for Vermont farms and farmers. And it's just something that I am so very proud to be part of, because it's so unique and so rare to like play music, gather people, gather your friends, gather your favorite musicians, get into a room, play your favorite music, and know that like it's really doing something. It's such a different feeling for me than being like, hey, I put out a song, and like at the end of the night, like maybe you buy a record, like that's great, but like this is just a different type of feeling, and it's one that I like have a very strong connection to. It's something I'm very passionate about being part of. And we're about to announce our next show. I can't tell you when because it's not announced yet, but any day now we're gonna, whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's always the weekend before Thanksgiving. Okay. But it's coming up. It's coming up soon, and the announce is coming up soon, and I could not be more excited about the musical theme for this year.
That's awesome.
Because it's some of my favorite all-time music that we'll be performing. Yeah.
That's very exciting. Just that tease. And if it does come out at some point, I will attach it to this video.
Please, I'll send you all the info on it.
No, that'd be great. Yeah, fantastic cause, especially that you're helping out the home state for something that's so important just across the country. But that you're doing it specifically for your neck of the woods is really cool. One of the things I like to do in closing, because this is a music-based vinyl, physical media type channel. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What have you been listening to recently, other than your record and all the editing that goes with that?
Well, I haven't been listening to my record. Oh, geez.
What's inspiring you?
Oh, that's a really great question. Sheesh. Funny enough, right now my head is just full of songs for some gigs that I have coming up with. So it's a little crammed with homework at the moment. Yeah. It's crammed more with homework than inspiration at the moment. But funny enough, I was just learning this Jason Isbell song this morning, and I was like, oh, I'd never heard this one because I never really listened to his music. Mm-hmm. I was like, damn, that was a great song. What a great song. I'm going to go see the Bar Brothers tomorrow night in Montreal. And I was just reminded, this is an older record, but I was just reminded and sent to a friend last night, Brad Barr's solo record, The Fall Apartment, which I will never miss an opportunity to tell anyone who will listen to go listen to that record. Speaking of perfect records, it's an all instrumental guitar record. I think it's one of the most beautiful records I've ever heard. But that's not new music, so let's see.
That's fine.
Oh, okay, good, because that works. I'm usually the last one to know about the new stuff.
No, I am too. I'm a big big 70s, 60s guy here.
I haven't listened to it yet, but I did just see that Daniel Lanois is putting out something new this week, and I really can't wait to go hear that.
Interesting.
Yeah. anything that guy's doing, I want to listen to. You know,
Sure.
it's always a great journey sonically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, no, I appreciate you kind of being put on the spot like that. But Bob, I really appreciate you doing this. I want everybody, just as the final reminder, I've Been Down is out now. You can stream it, go buy it. I recommend buying it. Bob, you've got some great stuff happening, and I'm going to be more excited to see where some of those extra songs go. I can't wait to see you in a bar fight in a video. And good luck with you and with all the other musicians for Hug Your Farmer later this fall. It's going to be really exciting.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. All right. I appreciate it. Thanks for the talk today.
Absolutely. All right. Y'all take care. We'll see you very soon.
See you soon.